We are live.
I got to unmute in the Discord.
Yeah.
And I'm alive in Discord. Live and direct. Well, it's the Happy New Year When Soon Show episode. January 3rd, 2023. Will we wait a full year for crypto to go up again? Because 2022 sucked.
Maybe.
Are we all going to be crypto poor for another year? Cat thinks yes. No bull market. Not yet. Which sucks. Because Cat isn't getting any younger. I jump into Leo TV chat. Boom, 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 and we're live. I see Woo has just joined us. All my blessings to you, Woo, and here's to a year full of progress, growth, and future happiness.
Love that. Yeah. All of our thoughts and prayers. Woo. She's back though. Glad to have her back.
And plenty of the usual suspects in the audience. Just waiting for all the whens and the soons.
Just getting all the announcements.
Indeed, yep. Drop it in the announcement so the word is out. And obviously people can watch live on YouTube. And throw your questions in the Leo TV chat, because I'll be watching that. I'm sure there's a thread, but usually Cal's on that.
Yeah, I just posted a thread with all the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook links. Go out, vote me so I'm not crypto poor.
There you go. Threads. In fact, I don't think I've written a post since Saturday. I started getting a little more consistent again, but holiday weekend slow things down. So probably have to write a little recap on the fly here. We'll see what my typing skills are. I got a busted finger on my right hand playing ball last night.
Oh,
and yeah, I got a game. Good. I got a game tonight too. I got a league game, and I'm like, man, this is not gonna help me dribbling and shooting.
What'd you do? You jam it? Someone hit it with a ball?
Yeah. And like it was like
when I used to play basketball, that was the worst.
Right. And I mean, the funny part is this is like the third time I've gotten this finger over like the last 2 years. But like I didn't even think it was that bad. Like it was like, all right. But yeah, last night it just fucking swelled up and black and blued like crazy. And now I'm like, I gotta, like I said,
it's like the worst feeling. I can feel it in my fingers. I remember how that used to feel.
It's just so annoying. And I mean, I don't even mind the pain. It's just like, now I can't, like, you can't really bend it. So like trying to grip the ball and everything, like I'll tape it up and I play with it like that. But I just like, sometimes I might drop a pass or like, whatever. The ball just literally slip out of my hands if I do a quick movement.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need that tonight. Got a big game against our arch rivals. Basically a bunch of guys I play with at the park. So, there's going to be crap talking.
Oh yeah. That's the best.
It'll be fun. But anyway, we're here to talk about crypto, not basketball. So
one basketball NFT.
Yes, let's do it. Cat basketball NFTs. Since it's been a holiday weekend, there's no questions in the chat from days ago. Sometimes they pile up.
Yeah, we can I can do a few updates while everyone gets their questions ready. Yeah, it's been what has it been? It's been like 3 weeks since we did an AMA, right? Like right before Christmas.
Yeah, because we didn't do Christmas week.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. Holiday season is always crazy. People don't work,
Well, I live in South Florida.
whole
People don't
world.
work here, period.
Yeah, the whole world kind of goes on pause. Luckily, developers still work.
There you go.
But outside of that, it's been pretty calm in the Sooniverse.
There's a couple.
Who goes? That's great. I just need like a month of updates.
Indeed. Well, you shall get them.
Yeah.
With the biggest one probably being the UI being in alpha, beta,
Right.
alpha, beta testing. I don't even know. There's so many Greek words. I can't keep up.
Yeah, it's in open alpha, or it's in closed alpha right now.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, so I just dropped a little image in the chat, kind of teasing the new UI. I've done that a lot lately. There's only a few of us that are really testing it and able to use it. But basically, you know, the UI, as you can see, is like pretty ready for mainstream. I mean, there's a lot of, when you actually use it, you'll realize that there's a lot of things that aren't there yet. So right now, my camera's not focused. Right now, it's in very like early stages, right? Like in terms of like deep feature integration. So the core features are what we're focused on right now. So you know, adding things like image uploading and stuff is still like there's like a punch list of things that we need to do. So all that stuff is kind of where we're focused. And then the more like fringe features, like adding a wallet UI, and you know, post publisher and stuff like that, we're still working on that stuff. But like the core stuff in terms of using threads is available, and that's what me and the devs are testing. So, you know, I pretty much mostly, except for on mobile, I'm pretty much exclusively using the new UI to post all my threads and everything, and reply to everybody. And, you know, one thing that I'm really excited about is the notifications page. I've shared a lot of screenshots of how it works. I'll share another one. But it basically, it basically copies Twitter. I mean, we copy Twitter in a lot of ways, but the notifications page really copies Twitter in terms of taking all your replies and all the engagement that is sent your way and kind of putting it in like a singular place. So this new notifications page really changes the way that you can engage on threads. So like if you posted a thread a month ago and someone just randomly finds it on like Google or something and they reply to it, on the current UI, there's almost no way that you're going to find that unless you're using something like a third-party bot service that tells you when someone replies to one of your comments on Hive. So the new UI puts that all front and center in the notifications page. So anytime someone replies to you or you know, tags you or anything, it all shows up in the notifications page. Like if you post a thread, you know, today and a year from now, someone responds to that thread, you'll see it right in your notifications page, which is exactly how Twitter works. So yeah, the ability to just like reply to anybody and quickly see who's replying to you. And you can also see who upvotes you and how much the upvote is worth. So it kind of gamifies the experience a little bit because you feel like, you know, you see like, oh, you know, at effing guru upvoted you for 3 cents. And you're like, oh, wow, I just made 3 cents, you know. It gamifies the experience of using threads. And I mean, it's actually really cool. Like if you imagine that we onboard, you know, some normies from Twitter and they start using threads and they start seeing, you know, Cal upvoted you, Scaredy Cat Guide upvoted you, and you see like voted you 4 cents, voted you 8 cents. That starts to like make your Twitter experience on Hive a lot more enjoyable, I think. You'll be motivated to say, okay, well, if I post some threads and I start getting, you know, 5-10 cent upvotes, you know, if I post 1,000 threads a day, I'm going to, you know, I could make a living out of this, or, you know, I can get like a lot more engagement. I can actually earn for my tweets and stuff like that. And that's what I think we've really been missing. And then, you know, just in general, like moving off of the notifications page, and the notifications page is where I spend most of my time on the new UI now. Like I'll post a thread And then, I'll check back later on the notifications page and I've got all sorts of replies and stuff. And it's really fun to be able to just reply to everybody really quickly. So if you've noticed, the amount of threads that I personally post every day has gone up a lot, just because I can easily reply to everybody. Outside of that, when you land on the homepage, it obviously is identical to Twitter. And in my opinion, that's what Hive has been missing. That's what Leo has been missing in terms of onboarding people, is giving people that like zero explanation. Like there should be no landing page, no onboarding page. That's basically how Twitter works. Like there's no landing page for Twitter. You just go to Twitter and you're like, oh, this is Twitter. So we want it to be the same, where you come to LeoFinance and you look at it and you're like, oh, this looks like Twitter. It works exactly like Twitter. I can just sign up in 10 seconds and post a tweet, which is called a thread, and I can potentially earn money for it, and it gets posted to the blockchain. And that's what we've needed for onboarding. It's just like it's very difficult to onboard people and tell them, okay, now go write a 500-word blog post introducing yourself, and hopefully you get some upvotes, and you'll probably spend 30 minutes to an hour writing it. And you may get discovered, you may not get discovered. And then, oh, by the way, there's all this blockchain stuff you got to worry about. So this is like, you look at it, you're like, okay, I can just tweet here, potentially make some money and build an audience. And I can log in 10 seconds using my existing Twitter account or something, and then post something up and see what happens. And you can immediately post. I mean, within 1 minute, if you're an existing Twitter user, I would say within 1 minute, you can sign up, sign in, post your first thread, and potentially earn upvotes. And I think that's like the key, is like, the short attention span is something that we've needed to solve on Hive to get mass adoption. And I think that the new UI can actually do that. So yeah, it's that's what I'm really excited about for the new UI, is just the ability to onboard people. So Eric and I, a Nomad Soul, had a conversation like at the end of 2022, and we were talking about what our goals were in terms of, because he's head of growth. So what our goals were in terms of growing LeoFinance in 2023. And, the core goal, the core, KPI is that we want to go, right now we have about 500 to 600 monthly active users, and we want to 10x that in 2023. And I think with the old UI, that wasn't really possible. We tried all sorts of things to onboard people, but like I said, the whole idea of join, and yeah, we did make account creation really easy, but the whole idea of joining a blockchain and then writing a 500-word post and hoping you get upvoted, and then you got to keep writing long form content. Most people are not interested in doing that. Most people they're simply not interested. There's definitely a big audience out there for long form, and I personally love long form, but to expect a new user to come in and care enough to write a long blog post and then wait for people to comment and upvote it is just not. That's not going to work for onboarding. We tried it, didn't work. So the key now is it's all about creating Twitter on the blockchain, onboarding people into that, and making it super easy to sign in, super easy to sign up, super easy to join, and then just create a thread. I mean, like, you should be, with any user within 1 minute of joining, should be able to post their first thread and start, getting engagement, getting upvotes. So I think that's really the key to onboarding this, the next 5,000 users of LeoFinance. And I think that we can achieve it this year. So I actually posted a thread about it, but we set some targets. So off the top of my head, I think it was Q1, we're aiming to do by the end of Q1. So we basically have a few months now. We're aiming to get from 500 to 1,500 monthly active users. So we're gonna triple up, or is it 1,000? I might have lied. Let me just find it really quick. I don't want to make Eric's goals more aggressive than they already are. All right. Q1 is 1,000. So I almost gave him a harder job than he already has. So Q1 is to double our monthly active users from 500 to 1,000. And then and how will we do that? So a couple small points that we made was we're going to look to onboard 3 communities for the community pages feature. So we're going to get 3 communities, and one way that we've gotten a lot of interest through that is from the Chain Chatter podcast that we've been doing, and he's lining up new guests for 2023. So we're basically inviting crypto founders onto the LeoFinance podcast to talk about their project, to just talk about crypto in general and get some exposure. And we've gotten, through that, at least 5 of the guests have said that they are willing and able to set up a community page on LeoFinance and start telling their audience to use it. So in Q1, we're going to get 3 of those communities to actually do it. And, that can bring in dozens of users per page, or, even hundreds, depending on the size of the community. So at least 3 communities. That's basically one big idea we've got. And then another idea is just getting more people from Hive involved in LeoFinance and Leo Threads, because a lot of people on Hive are creating long form. They're using 3Speak, they're using Splinterlands, they already have an account. So there's a lot of low hanging fruit to get more involvement just from Hive itself, and more involvement on Threads kind of begets more involvement, because if there's engagement, then you're going to get that virtuous cycle. So you need some level of engagement to exist already, which is kind of why we have the whole open alpha thing with LeoFinance.io right now, is just to get that early engagement, start filling up threads and stuff like that. And if you look at the number of threads that are posted every single day, it's been growing a lot. So there's definitely, and I use it every day, and I'm always looking at new threads. So I've seen a lot of new faces. So a lot of people from Hive are kind of trickling into Threads and starting to use it, which is definitely awesome. So Q1, 1,000 users. I think a lot of low-hanging fruit on Hive, a lot of low-hanging fruit on Twitter. Obviously, Twitter is going to be like our main focus for most of our advertising, and then the 3 communities. So I think between that stuff and then some other stuff that Eric is working on, I think we'll be able to double our user base. So doubling the user base is a big deal. Obviously, it's and Dolls posted a really interesting analysis of Hive UIs throughout 2022. Turns out that every Hive UI lost users. They lost monthly active users throughout 2022, with the one exception of LeoFinance. So that is very typical for Hive, that you lose users as the price goes down, because people are less interested in creating content, knowing that the dollar value of what they earn is less. And we've talked plenty about how that's counterintuitive, because when the dollar value is less, you're earning more tokens. So when the next bull market hits, you make more money. But people are pretty short-term thinkers. So that has always been a staple on Steam and now Hive, that when the price goes down, people leave, and then they come back when the price goes up. But that all being said, in his post, he showed that LeoFinance was the one UI that did not lose monthly active users throughout 2022. We stayed flat. Which is actually pretty awesome in a bear market, that we were able to stay flat in terms of users. So now our focus 2023 is to actually grow. So, we achieved not falling in users. Now can we actually get more? That's where everything's at. And I think with Threads, I honestly think Threads were a big reason for that. I think there were a lot of different reasons for that, but we have a very strong core community relative to everybody else. But I think Threads was a big piece of that. So 1,000 Q1, Q2 is to get 1,500. So basically the first 2 quarters, we're just trying to get 500 users per quarter. So 500 users in 3 months. How doable is that? I think it's pretty achievable with the new UI. So and in Q2, the focus is going to be getting an influencer onboarded into Threads. So we're going to look for just, even 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, like mid-sized crypto influencers. And, it's going to be pretty expensive in terms of, how we're going to do this. But we've talked to a few and gotten some pricing of what it would take to do this. But getting 1 mid-sized influencer to use Threads. So we're not telling him you can't use Twitter. We're just saying, hey, keep using Twitter, but copy and paste all your tweets into Threads, every single tweet that you post. And then also maybe once a week or once every couple of days, remind your audience that they can engage with you on Twitter on the blockchain. So they can do the same engagement that they're doing with you already on Twitter, but they can do it on Threads. And then we'll give them, we haven't really decided the actual number yet, but it might be somewhere between like 250,000 and 500,000 Leo power. So it's going to be pretty significant. We'll delegate that to them, the influencer, and then they'll upvote all their audience members who actually engage with them on Threads. So the key is, step one, we're going to start paying this influencer to copy paste their tweets over to Threads. And step two, they're going to, every couple of days, they're going to remind their audience that they're on Leo Threads. They're going to put a link in their bio, stuff like that. And tell their audience that there's a Twitter on the blockchain that they're also using in addition to their Twitter account. And if their users, step three, come over to Threads and start replying to the influencer's threads and engaging with them, the influencer has 250,000 to 500,000 Leo power, and they're able to upvote each comment that's replying to them for 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever. And I think that's going to bring a lot of users. I mean, if you imagine, like, a lot of the influencers we're looking at have like 100,000 Twitter followers, right? And they have, I mean, the big thing is not just the followers, but the actual engagement that they're getting. They're getting 100 replies to each tweet that they post, stuff like that. So if we get 10% of their audience to follow them over to Threads, and then give them that Leo power to upvote them, I think that's going to be that's going to be one of those massive pieces to onboarding. That's just one influencer. Then you get two, then you get three. Obviously, we have to scale it up. It's going to be expensive. Most of these influencers want a few $1,000s a month to do this, so it's not going to be cheap, but I think it'll be really successful in terms of a campaign. So that's kind of
what you're saying is everybody needs to follow the cat's Twitter account, and once I get 100K followers, I can get all the monies.
All the money, thousands per month.
That might be what I need to, promote Threads, since I'm, one of those old warhorse long form blog guys. But I like it.
Yeah. So that's going to be like the focus in Q2, right? Is get that one first influencer on, kind of play around with that idea, see how it works, and then we'll start onboarding more as we kind of make a plan. And it's something that we're going to have to learn in real time, right? We're going to have to adapt to what influencers want and how things like that work. And I think that is what the influencer thing is what leads us from we're at 600 now. Q1 will be at 1,000. Q2 we're going to push to get to 1,500 with the influencer, and I think the influencer will lead us to Q3, Q4 where we get a few more of them. And that's where we're going to push. Q3, we're looking for 3,000. So we're going to have to get 1,500 monthly active users from Q2 to Q3. And then Q3 to Q4, we're trying to go from 3,000 to 5,000. So 2,000 more. And then obviously we'll evaluate, set new goals at the end of 2023. But Eric's got some targets here. He's got some incentives for hitting these targets. And, this is the first year for LeoFinance where we have a legitimate head of growth that is working full time and has achievable monthly active user targets, along with having a UI that has a easy onboarding experience. And you look at it and you're like, oh, this is Twitter. So there's no explanation needed in terms of explaining how the platform works to a user. I mean, I think it's extremely achievable for us.
Oh, 100%. So, as far as influencers go, and I'm just like looking at the chat, so I want to clarify, because obviously I was multitasking writing the recap post while listening to all this. And when it comes to the influencers, you did mention in terms of them having a chunk of Leo so they can upvote their listeners, followers that come over. My first assumption was that's just going to be a straight delegation, or is it more so going to be like they're getting those tokens as a compensation?
Yeah, so they're going to get a delegation, right? But a delegation, like let's say their delegation is 250,000 Leo power. Yeah. They're going to be earning a shit ton of Leo every day.
Oh, 100%. But it just also saves the opportunity of basically someone, just dumping 200,000
exactly.
Leo tokens. All right, cool. I figured it was a delegation, but there was some questions about that in the chat. Yeah, so that makes a ton of sense. I figured it was a delegation. I just wanted to verify.
Yeah. So that saved us from someone just getting a huge chunk of Leo, unstaking it and selling it. They could sell their earnings every day. And that's, that's totally fine. If they want to sell their earnings, that's a part of the platform, right?
Yep.
But, hopefully what you see is you see a mid-level crypto influencer come in, bring in, with them, say 500 of their Twitter followers, and those 500 people start using threads, and the influencers upvoting them, the influencers earning Leo, the influencers hopefully realizing that this is like a great platform. Like if they're using Twitter so actively, they should, probably see the potential of something like threads. Obviously they'll see that steady flow of Leo tokens coming in. And then their whole audience will get a flow of Leo tokens, and at least some percentage of that audience is going to realize that threads has the potential to grow. And I see a comment from Idiosyncratic One that the price of Leo should be in an uptrend. So the new guys will be looking for a token that has thousands of volume and future promise in terms of value. So yeah, I mean, that's a key piece in, how Hive has survived, 5 or 6 years or however long it's been around. The years are flying by now. I don't remember. It's that future promise of value, or the future idea that potentially something could be worth more in the future and your earnings are worth more in the future. That's something that has kept Hive and kept Leo alive. I do think that's an important thing. One thing that, I didn't touch on is the ad revenue. And I know a lot of people are waiting for the ad revenue to start back up. And I did say that it was going to start back up in January, and it is 2023. So the first ad report return will be sometime this month. So it's very soon. But the ad revenue from going like 500 monthly active users has given us very solid ad revenue, like thousands of dollars a month, right? Going from 500 to 1,000, obviously the ad revenue should at least double, potentially even more, because it tends to move on an exponential curve. Going from 1,000 to 1,500, 1,500 to 3,000, 3,000 to 5,000. I think the ad revenue is just going to exponentially grow throughout this year. And the whole idea behind that is that it buys Leo and removes it from the market, right? So if you've got that kind of built-in mechanism where attention is being profited from by the protocol itself, that's kind of the driving principle behind like fundamental growth for the Leo token. So that's obviously always been the focus, is building that up. And the new UI takes that to the next level, obviously through all this onboarding stuff. Something else I haven't touched on is that the new UI, we haven't done the ad. We haven't added the ad space yet. But I've had someone come in and look at the UI and give us kind of like a little breakdown of how our ads are working and what we can do better. And basically they said that our ad placement is really shitty on the current UI. We have a lot of wasted ad space and inefficient ad views. And I think, Mitch, you were saying this on our New Year's Eve special, maybe, that the ad space is not like native to the UI. So it kind of like cuts off certain ads and makes it look like tacky and bad.
Yeah,
and we need more. Yeah, and we need to make it less ghetto and make it more make it more bougie. make it inline native ads. Kind of like how Twitter does it. Purdy
ads.
We want to make it so that you see an ad and you don't even know it's an ad until you've read the ad and you're like, oh, I'm not really interested in this, or oh yeah, I'm interested in this, and then you click it, and then the protocol makes a lot more money if you click ads and you're interested in them. So we're going to start working with different ad partners. We're going to start making ads native so that, basically it's going to look like a thread was posted, this is how Twitter works. It's going to look like a thread was posted and the ad content is in that thread, right? So you're like reading through threads and you just read a thread and you're like, oh, this happens to be an ad. And hopefully it's something that you're interested in. So this is something that we really need to work on. This is what all Web 2 platforms do. They have basically algorithms and protocols in place that try to give you ads that you're interested in. And right now, LeoFinance, we just give everyone the same ad. We have them non-native, so they're just kind of like set off on the side or somewhere in the middle, and it doesn't look good. So the key is and we don't get a lot of ad clicks, right? We're basically all on ad views, which is pretty low in terms of, efficiency of revenue. So if we can make ads look native, if we can make ads more interesting to a crypto audience, to all of you guys, then, the ad revenue who knows what it could do, right? 10x, 100x, just by getting more clicks. It makes the views per ad a lot more valuable for the platform. So ads are going to become a huge focus on the new UI, which obviously will, that's how the whole Leo DAO is set up, which is, earning that ad revenue, and it gets paid to the DAO as Bitcoin, then converting the Bitcoin to Leo, right? So I think that's going to have a lot of potential. So that's my long answer to his question about putting Leo in an uptrend. You can't guarantee an uptrend, but if we can focus on growing our users and make ads very efficient, make ads, interesting, then, the Leo token can get a lot of native buying from the DAO itself.
I mean, technically I can guarantee an uptrend. It's just a matter of how much money that would take. How many hundreds of thousands of dollars would need to get plowed into Leo over the course of a month or two to force an uptrend?
Not much. I mean, the market cap is 500K, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah. All things being equal, throw 100K at it and the price goes up 20%.
Boom. All I got to do is win a big poker tournament and I'm in. I can create an uptrend. I shall has all the Leo. What is that? BNB minor ads incoming?
Not sure what it means.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Looks like we're getting more detail. So it's funny, idiosyncratic. I mentioned how about a PLEO exchange listing at the same time. I probably would prefer a BLEO listing.
Yeah,
that would probably mean Binance. But I don't know if that's something that's ever really been in the cards. I guess that's more possible though, or no? Like, are these Hive engine tokens really something? Well, that's actually not a Hive engine token. Sorry, Leo is. BLEO's around. Yeah, so BLEO technically could get on Binance.
Yeah, they could. I mean, you just pay enough money and you can get listed on anything. I still am a big believer in DEXs. Obviously, I want to put Leo on Thorchain.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, the sex listings have a place too. But what we really need to focus on is the monthly active users, in my opinion. That's kind of the key, the core KPI.
Indeed. I mean, a centralized exchange is great, obviously, for exposure and liquidity, but there's definitely a hefty cost to get on there.
Right.
But,
and there's no point in, there's plenty of shit tokens that are listed on centralized exchanges and they pump and dump and get some quick volume, make some quick money and run away. But that's obviously not what we're looking for. We're looking for that slow and steady grind up in terms of users and actual utility, right?
Yeah. I mean, wasn't there a token with the ticker Leo that was on centralized exchanges that essentially is a shit coin? So
yep, I have no idea what it's used for.
Neither do I. I glanced at it like once or twice. Cool. So LeoFinance is chugging along. UI is being actively tested. Is there anything new in the world of Polycub or Cub Finance?
Yeah, so DeFi, on the DeFi side.
That's the word I was forgetting. DeFi.
DeFi.
Spacing.
Yeah, so the multi-token bridge liquidity keeps growing. So we're seeing a lot more, BHBDB Hive get pooled, which is awesome. The BHBDB USD pool is at 280,000. And, the other pools are growing as well. So we've just been kind of, again, going back to that slow and steady grind, like slow and steady grinding more liquidity into the multi-token bridge. That's huge. I teased a little bit about our bot 2.0. in the last monthly Cub report. The next monthly Cub report will be going out this week as well. So the RBot 2.0 code is really focused on expanding what the RBot does right now. So let me pull this up just so I have it all in front of me. In the month of November, the RBot, this is RBot 1.0, right? The original code we built, generated $4,960. So, and the total revenue in November was $9,125. So the RBot, as it stands, makes over half of all the revenue for Cub. And that whole $9,000 was, it gets put into the Cub DAO. The Cub DAO buys Cub off the market and then it burns it. So the total amount of Cub burned is actually about to hit 2 million. It's 1.95 million. Being that the RBot is such a big percentage, we looked at how we can increase revenue because, the DAO paid out in November $17,125 in LP incentives. So, the protocol earned 9,000, it paid out 17,000, right? So we need to make up that deficit, and we've slowly been getting there. I mean, like prior to the multi-token bridge, which launched August 2022, the protocol was making, I don't know, like $100 a month from Kingdoms. I mean, it was very minuscule because it was all just Kingdoms management fees. So now that the protocol has this multi-token bridge, it's generating a ton of revenue. I mean, to go from $100 a month or whatever it was to $9,000 a month in a matter of like 4 months is pretty huge. So the focus is just on growing that revenue, and the revenue grew from November to December. Obviously, that report will be out soon to talk about the month of December. But every single month, we're just seeing that revenue grow, 20% here, 30% here. It just keeps growing. But a big piece of that being the arbitrage bot code, we reviewed it and we realized there's a lot of potential that we're leaving on the table in terms of arbitraging actually like native Hive and native HBD. So, the new ARB code will arbitrage the internal market in addition to BHBD Beehive. It'll also arbitrage Binance's markets, and potentially Bittrex is another one we're looking at. And then any other exchanges we can find where Hive is listed, obviously. Swap.hive is going to be on that short list as well for Hive Engine. So really what we're doing is we're expanding the RBot code to be, one, more efficient, and two, access a greater number of markets. And really, in the long run, our goal is to access all Hive markets. And I was telling you this in the pre-show, but really the goal behind this is, one, we want to generate, profit for the DAO. So in November, generating, $4,900 for the DAO. It bought back and burned Cub, which is awesome. But growing that figure is really important for Cub's token price and for liquidity providers. And, if Cub number go up, then more liquidity will come in for BHBD Beehive because obviously the APY goes up. So that's kind of, flipping Cub deflationary is a big goal. So number one, generate profit. Number two, our goal is to actually just vortex a lot of the trading volume that's happening on, Binance, on the internal market, on Hive, on Hive Engine. Our goal is to kind of like suck away some of that volume and bring it over to Beehive BHBD as the derivatives. And, there's a lot of volume that happens for Hive on these other exchanges. And what we're just trying to do is get a lot of that volume and push it through arbitrage into BHBD Beehive. And obviously, as that volume increases, the wrapping fees increase, Oracle staking increases because there's more liquidity, and the arbitrage revenue from all of that arbitrage is enormous. So our goal right now, we're kind of getting to that light at the end of the tunnel where, when the bridge first launched, I think it generated like $3,500, maybe $4,000 the first month, to now it's generating $9,000 a month. And it's paying out $17,000 in terms of LP incentives. We've got the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of flipping deflationary. And the low Cub price is actually really helping us achieve that, because that $17,000 actually comes down as the price comes down. So, the light is at the end of the tunnel in terms of flipping deflationary. And our goal is, can we can we flip deflationary and simultaneously generate a lot of Hive and HBD and push it into the oracles to actually just deepen the liquidity. And as the liquidity deepens, the arbitrage increases. It creates like this pinwheel effect. So we are still in the early stages of that pinwheel. It's only I think it's month 4 or month 5 of Beehive and BHBD being live. So, you know, we're in the early stages of that pinwheel, but we're more than half of the way there, right? So it's pretty exciting to see how the liquidity has grown and how the revenue grows too. And I think we can do a lot better in terms of revenue with the new ArbBot code. So that's what I'm very, very excited for with the DeFi stuff. It's just getting, like, I wake up every morning and my number one focus is like, can we flip Cub deflationary? And that's, you know, in terms of the financial part of all of this stuff that we're doing, that's what I'm focused on. And then in terms of Polycub, we tried to push out a proposal to make Polycub a little bit more like Cub, because the model on Cub is working very well. So I think we can push a very similar model out on Polycub. That proposal didn't go through, mainly because, you know, one large stakeholder didn't want to vote it through, and they said they wanted more information about it before they voted it. So we're going to put out, and this is the beauty and the downfall of having a DAO, is where you actually have you actually have people that can vote their opinion. And if their opinion doesn't align with what the developers want to do, then you got to keep going back to the drawing board until everyone agrees. So a new proposal is about to go live on Polycub, and then hopefully everyone will vote it. And I think it'll make Polycub a lot more like Cub, which I think will increase the multi-token bridge revenue for Hive, PHBD, and actually start to bring more liquidity back there, because the liquidity has basically just been steadily dropping on Polycub. So, but you know, this is the difference, right? The liquidity on Cub has been steadily increasing. The liquidity on Polycub has been steadily decreasing. And the difference is Polycub's incentives keep dropping and Cub's incentives stay the same. So we need to work on this. And I think with Cub, what we've been doing, and this is part of the reason why I've let so many months go by, is that the multi-token bridge is really working well on Cub. And we're just saying, you know, look at it working well here. We're just trying to take the same thing and push it out on Polycub. So that's where all the DeFi stuff is.
Cool. All the updates. Wow, it's already 5 after 2. I'm going here for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, flying.
Well, will P-Cub be inflationary too? I mean, ideally one day. Can, I guess, essentially with those potential changes in Polycub, can we get to the point where there's a flippening with P-Cub as well?
Say that again.
I'm just looking at idiosyncratic question in terms of P-Cub. So really just made me think about, you know, if, you know, some of these changes do get approved and voted to move forward on, if, you know, that puts Polycub on a path to, you know, have that same potential flippening to go inflationary.
Yeah, you know, there's two different ways that Polycub can go. One way is that it goes deflationary. The other way is that the whole VEX system, the VEX Polycub system, is able to build itself, right? So it's really just about growing liquidity. We need to get back. Polycub had, I mean, at one point, the PHBD USDC pool had over $400,000 in liquidity. Right now, it's got $25,000. So the reward system that is set up on Polycub was thought to be a great system at the beginning. Clearly, it has, in reality, it hasn't worked out as the theory was. And really what it's been doing is just sucking down liquidity. So yeah, that's, in my opinion, we need to fix that ASAP. And that's what the proposal that we pushed that proposal out, I think 3 months ago, and it didn't get voted through. And in my opinion, and at the time, I think when we pushed out the proposal, PHBD still had about $90,000 in liquidity. So as you can see, I mean, the fact that the proposal didn't get pushed through, I think, is one of the big reasons that Polycub has not been working very well, because it's still on that model that I think we thought would work well in the beginning, but it's not working well in practice. So the next step for Polycub is really to get a proposal pushed out to fix the things that are broken. So hopefully the X and Vex Polycub stakeholders wake up to that reality and accept some sort of proposal to change things.
I will certainly be keeping my eye out for the governance vote, which I'm sure will at a minimum hit the announcements in Discord, and I'm sure it'll be up on the main page on LeoFinance
Yep.
for us people that aren't living on Threads yet. Hashtag this guy. Cool. All right. Well, do we want to wrap up with any general crypto chatter now that we're in the new year?
Yeah. New year, same Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
What do you think is going on with Bitcoin? What's the cat analysis? We're at 16,600 as of today, where we've literally been trading flat since November. I mean, like early November, you had the whole, FTX thing. We dropped from 21,000 to 15,000. And since then, we've literally been in that 15 to 17,000 channel. Haven't moved.
Yeah. I mean, price and volatility literally have been playing a like cat and mouse game. Extreme pun intended. The the flatlining, so to speak, like you said, has led to a whole lot. Hold on, I just realized that I haven't had this up there the whole time.
Whole lot of nothing.
People got to know who I am. I'm the Scaredy Cat Guide. Find me on LeoFinance.
Find and upvote.
This real name stuff is stupid. I don't even know why that's up there. So yeah, pretty much, that mid 16 area was a potential support level that I was looking at back when we were still above 20. And I had an order there, small order that got filled, and I've since, bought a little more Bitcoin in this area since then. In fact, I actually bought a little at I think it was like 16.7 or whatever it was the day of Christmas, because I give my mom a little bit of Bitcoin every Christmas because I know nice. A, she'll never buy it herself. B, she thinks she doesn't want it, but we'll realize that Bitcoin is awesome one day. It's been interesting because I know you DCA, and I'm trying to do a little more because really I was more so just holding a big chunk of fresh powder to buy, on the next leg down that I thought we were going to get, and we keep not getting it. I don't know, just because we flatlined for a while and we're building this base doesn't mean we're not going to go lower. But the flip side is it at least is, providing price action that gives you the possibility of a bottom. But who knows? The stock market's still getting wrecked. It's down today. It's probably going to go lower. Tesla's getting its ass kicked. Yeah. I bought a bunch at $1.30, all happy. I mean, it's in my IRA, so I'm holding it for 15 years anyway. But I bought a bunch at $1.30, like when I finally had money free up from that real estate sale, and I'm already down like 20 something %. I'm like, I got wrecked in a week. I was like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, clearly there's still weakness in markets in general, so that doesn't bode well for Bitcoin. But we'll see. Maybe it can have relative strength and outperform, because I mean, if it's going sideways and equity markets are going down, then technically it's outperforming. But yeah, overall, I'm not bullish on 2023. I look at 2023 as a opportunity to continue to build your stake, to acquire coin for the bull run. But maybe things change in the summer, but I just don't see this first 6 months of the year being positive. I mean, that doesn't mean we can't get a little bullish bounce or something, but I just don't see how there's going to be like any real sustained bullish activity in the first 6 months of this year, especially with, the Fed probably raising rates 1 or 2 more times.
Yeah. I like you said, I dollar cost average. I do have, ladder orders that are set for various prices. So like I got some filled at like just above 15K. So, those bigger chunks, but every single day, I'm buying some Bitcoin no matter how small of the amount is, a few $100s there, a few $100s here. It's like just getting a little bit of Bitcoin every single day. And like you said, stacking and staking. And, I actually wrote this morning, I wrote an article, shameless self-promotion in the Discord.
That's right. I should post the recap.
I wrote an article about Bitcoin collateralized lending. This is, I know a few people that do the same thing that I do, which is basically we're constantly stacking Bitcoin through dollar cost averaging, right? So every day, just a little bit more Bitcoin, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then, every month, I'm a human being. I have expenses. I have life expenses. I also do have business expenses that I do this with. So I push that Bitcoin into a vault, which is obviously used as collateral. And then I take a loan out, a stable coin loan against that Bitcoin. And then I use that loan to pay, bills. So like, let's say I got to pay my rent. I got to pay my car payment, stuff like that. I'll push the Bitcoin into that vault, take in this case, I mostly use MakerDAO. I'll take a DAI stablecoin loan against it, convert the DAI into, dollars, pay my bills with those dollars. And, to someone who might not be familiar with it, it might sound like, bad, like you're taking on a bunch of debt. But in the article I wrote, I talked about the last bear cycle because I've been doing this for years. So I was doing this, way back in, what was it, like 2018, 2019 is, I think, around the time I kind of started getting heavy into it. So, I mean, I was buying Bitcoin at, 5,000, 7,000, I think even some at like 4,000 when, we had the 2020 crash, taking all that Bitcoin and pushing it into a vault and then taking a loan to pay my bills. So what I was doing is I could take, all my, all my income and stuff, and I could just pay my bills directly. Right. Or I could take all my income, I could buy Bitcoin, I could put the Bitcoin in a vault, and I could take a loan against that Bitcoin and then pay all my bills. And what I'm doing is I'm still paying the bills the same way I would have if I just took my income straight up and paid it. But instead of just doing that, I'm actually stacking a bunch of Bitcoin so that when the next bull cycle does come, Bitcoin goes up a lot in price, and then I can pay the loan off after, right? So this is kind of like a Michael Saylor has basically done this in like the most extreme way. And I think he's even, he's made like he's been on interviews and stuff where he's talked about it, where he talks about how, rich people, what they do is they buy a big house, they have that house, they take a loan against it, they pay their shit, and, their house is appreciating in value a few percent a year. And, 20 years later, when they go to sell their house, they make more money than the loan plus, everything else, and then they pay everything down, right? Morton Matt is saying you have to have an appetite for risk. That's not necessarily true. You can set up one of these vaults with very low liquidation settings, right? So like the vault that I shared there is like the most extreme version of like a risk on vault where, liquidation price is 12,500. So, Bitcoin drops 12,500, you're screwed unless you have more collateral to add, which I obviously do. So if you keep your liquidation price low, there's, very little risk. I talked about it a little bit, but the risk in this type of vault is more so with wrapped Bitcoin. So you obviously have a little bit of counterparty risk. So if you're aware of that and you're comfortable with it, which I am, because I've been using it for years, that, the risk is what you make it. Right. But, say that like Bitcoin's 17K right now. If you're just accumulating Bitcoin at 17K, accumulating, let's say your bills are $1,000 a month, right? If you're accumulating $2,000 a month worth of Bitcoin, so your income is 2,000, your bills are 1,000, you take all $2,000, put it in a Bitcoin vault, take out $1,000 loan against the Bitcoin, this is all feasible. This is like pretty much exactly what I do. You take out a $1,000 loan against the $2,000 worth of Bitcoin you just bought, pay all your bills. So now you're like surviving, right? You're surviving, but you're also putting Bitcoin in this vault. And now let's say that Bitcoin in the bull market, let's say it takes 2 years. So it's not until 2025 that Bitcoin goes up. But you've been doing this from 2023 to 2025. Every month, you're just putting away this Bitcoin and you're still paying all your bills with the loans. you've probably accumulated what, $24,000 worth of loans, right? Two years worth of loans. So $24,000 worth of loans, and you've accumulated $52,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? Or $48,000 worth of Bitcoin. So if you've accumulated $48,000 worth of Bitcoin, you've accumulated $24,000 worth of debt. Now let's say that the bull cycle hits and Bitcoin doubles. Let's just say it doubles in price. So your 48,000 is now 90 what, 6,000, $96,000, and your loan amount is still 24,000. So now your Bitcoin has gone up more than the debt you've taken. So your profit is more than the debt, and you just pay the debt off, and now you're still left with a big bag of Bitcoin. Yeah, and then he said you can't tax loans. That's another thing if you're smart, and I have an accountant for all this stuff, but if you're smart, you can take all the loan payments you make and you can actually write it off against your taxes. So, like on MakerDAO, I think most of the vaults are around like an average of say 3% a year is what the interest rate is. So I can write off that 3% a year against my business profits.
Heck yeah.
And then on top of that, all the expenses that you've paid with the loans is not actually, you're not selling any Bitcoin. So you're not getting taxed. Like if you take $1,000 out every month from a loan, that's not capital gains. You don't get taxed on it.
Sorry. Morton had me laughing. Easy on paper, hard to explain to the wife.
Yeah, smart. What you got to do is just don't tell the wife.
Oh my God. Or I guess, I got lucky, and my girlfriend kind of actually understands it because she's savvy financially to an extent. So, and it's all about this type of shit. In fact, she's probably more risky than I am. I need to not tell her that's this stuff.
I got an easy fix for that. Buy the $2,000 worth of Bitcoin every month, put it into the vault, take a $1,200 loan, use $1,000 to pay your bills, take $200 and buy her something every month. Just say, look, it's working. There you go.
Boom. Morton, all your problems are solved. You have been answered. You've been calified. Yeah, we've talked about this before, and I gotta literally make a to-do list so I actually get to this, because it's something I should leverage, even if it's in a very conservative approach, because even if I'm borrowing 25%, so I can have a liquidation price that's ridiculous, you know what I mean, where it's like I'm not worried about anything unless Bitcoin goes to like 5K or something, or lower. I'd have to decide whatever my black swan price is. I want to be just below that. So I got to decide what my black swan price is first, which honestly, I think might just be below 10K, because that's when the whole world will go crazy, which if we ever saw that, I'm going to have so many orders sitting at like 7,500 for hopefully that flash crash through 10.
Yeah.
I will be going, I won't even just grab money from wherever I can. I don't even care whatever debt is needed. But yeah, what's, I forgot I'd asked you before. What's the interest rate generally on these?
Yeah, it depends. You can choose different interest rates based on how much of a collateralization ratio you have.
Gotcha.
So let me just pull it up. So let's say you want to borrow
higher interest with higher leverage.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right, so that even works out for me because I'll be.
Yeah, here I'm getting you a screenshot.
What is MakerDAO? Is that like a ETH based? I've actually legit never been on it.
It's on Ethereum.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and the ETH. So I talked about it in my article. If you want to check it out. But I've been using it for years, and Ethereum gas used to be so expensive. Like whenever I wanted to do anything in one of my vaults, it was like $300 to do anything. So I would only move big chunks.
Yeah, I think that's why I used to never do it.
Right. And now I do the same thing I used to do, where I still am moving pretty big chunks, but the fees are anywhere from like $20 to $40. Like the fees are relatively low. It used to be hundreds. Now it's just 10,
yeah, and now
15,
it's
20.
worth it because if you, because think about it, if someone's just trying to whatever it is, even if they're just throwing like a few thousand on there. And like
Right.
you said, you do that 2,000 a month, like, and back in the day, it wasn't even worth it with the fees. You're
Yep.
you're literally getting whacked between going in and going out. You're getting whacked, 30% essentially on fees.
Right.
So
Yeah. So in the screenshot I showed, you can see all the different wrapped Bitcoin options. So if you do like the highest borrowing multiple, your interest rate is 3.5%. If you do the medium one, it's 2%. I typically do the medium one because I feel like you get the most bang for your buck. But yeah, it's 2% for the medium one, and then if you do the low one, so if like and with the liquidation price that you were talking about with 8,000, you'd probably do the low one, just because that obviously has a factor on it. So you would be paying 0.75%, so not even 1% a year. So
that's crazy. I don't even understand.
Very attractive.
Yeah, I don't even know how they pull that off. That's
they do
epic.
Yeah. Well, and DAI works really well. Like, I mean, I'm super bullish on MakerDAO and DAI. And, I know a lot of people are a little bit scared of these protocols now with all the recent blowups in the past year. But, I wouldn't put all my money into this, but I do feel very confident in the system that is built there. They're also like pretty much the longest standing DeFi protocol out there, top 3, at least in terms of age. They're like up there with Curve. So it's, they've weathered multiple. Now they've weathered at least 2 bear cycles, maybe 3. I don't remember if they were around that long, but they've at least weathered the 2018 bear and now the 2022 bear. So
nice. DeFi for the win.
Yeah, DeFi is great. I love
those centralized
all this
exchanges.
DeFi stuff.
That happened. I was at what was it, Sunday? My old trading buddy / mentor had like a brunch at his house. And there's no crypto people there at all. It's like stock trading people and regular folk. And some of them had crypto, whatever. So, the conversation obviously was, whatever, this, that, the other thing. Obviously FTX came up, and I'm just like, yeah, this is why decentralized is the way to go. Like, it's the whole point of crypto. Like, anytime you're on a centralized exchange with crypto, you're missing the point, and it's defeating the whole purpose. So cool. Alrighty. Yeah. Well, the recap post is up for anyone that can't remember all the gibberish that was spoken over the last hour and a half. And
go vote the cat.
Yes, go vote the cat. And
I'm voting him right now.
If you want
100%
learn how to do loans, go pay your bills like Cal does with his post on the Bitcoin collateralization, which I'm actually opening this post right now. I probably voted on it and didn't even look at it.
Smart. That's how you use the platform.
Yeah. I have a few people on auto vote. Cool. All right. Well, that's a wrap for the first week of January 2023. So big things in store. And, as a user base, let's do our best to spread the word and get LeoFinance active users up every month, because more users means more eyeballs, means more ad revenue at a minimum. And that alone is a positive.
1 week down, 51 to go for the AMA. And like Mitch said, let's we all got to work together to get these MAU targets. I'm sure a Nomad Soul is going to start reaching out to a bunch of people about his ideas. That's what he tends to do, which is awesome, which is get the community involved in his ideas for growth. So once the new UI goes live, it's going to be big time push to get us from 500 to 1,000 monthly active users by the end of Q1. So that's going to be the KPI to watch out for. And cool. So thanks Mitch for jumping on. Thanks everybody for joining. First of 2023, many more to go.
Indeed. All right, everyone, have a good one, and we will see you on the next one.
See ya.